Let's compare the quiet functioning of Rolls-Royce's $422,750 all-electric Spectre coupe to that of its $354,750 Ghost Sedan, highlighting the Spectre's engine-free advantages by picking nits with the Ghost, a standard-bearing luxury sedan powered by the marque's whisper-silent, Swiss watch-smooth V12 engine, seems deliciously odd. Let's examine the Rolls-Royce Spectre visually by contrasting it with the Ghost Sedan. But it's not clear if an electric Rolls-Royce is a better Rolls-Royce. Adding electric motors, even excited, synchronous ones like the ones in the Spectre, always makes the car smoother. Rolls-Royce has been in a philosophical war with physics for the past 100 years to keep people from thinking about things that might make them dislike cars. You would think the Ghost was one of the quietest, most refined, and most isolated cars you could buy if you drove a normal car next to it. You would only think that way about other Rolls-Royces. However, the Spectre is now on the market. It is Rolls-Royce's first electric car, and one of only a few cars that can trick the Ghost. The Ghost is moved forward by 8 forward gears and a million tiny explosions. Its progress is slowed down by calipers pressing down on metal blades that are spinning. You might not even notice the two-door Spectre car moving if you don't look out the windows. It's that smooth and quiet. The Spectre is tuned to go smoothly down the road, just like its brothers that use a lot of gas. It can do this in part because of its planar suspension, which is based on the Ghost, and can separate the anti-roll bars for a smoother ride, even on the optional 23-inch wheels. When turns are sensed, it can then be put back together. If you tune the accelerator well, the power of the electric motors is lowered until you press down harder on the pedal and the car is moving quickly. This keeps the people inside from rustling their well-groomed hair while the plane takes off. The Spectre's weight might be its best feature. It feels very strong and weighs a little more than 3 tons. Inside, the thick body and soundproof glass keep outside noise out, and it is said to be 30% stronger than the Ghost in this way. It can also fly through the air because its drag coefficient is only 0.25. Feeling like a baby kangaroo in its mother's pouch because the Spectre is so calm on the highway, just point its long hood toward more interesting parts of the road. There, the coupe the size of a BMW 7 Series comes to life in very polished ways, even though it looks like a limousine and rides like one. It's hard to say whether the front and back electric motors and steering systems are too quick or too smooth. You know that the front and rear motors have 584 and 664 pound-feet of torque, and that the magic suspension makes the car very sporty, but they never get too much for you. With its light driving, the Spectre makes you feel like you're going fast without rushing. The Rolls can pick up speed very quickly, which is another thing that gets better once the car is going. The blurry view outside the windows and the total silence are almost scary. The Spectre can go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 4.4 seconds, and it feels like it can go that fast. As the motors speed up and slow down, you can play sounds that sound urgent on and off, if you need background vocals for this show. Electricity, but not electric charm. There is a small button at the end of the shift wand that is marked B. The Spectre is almost quiet. Those are the only 2 things in the cabin that make me think there are electric parts inside. That B switch puts on the Spectre's more aggressive mode for soft braking. This lets you drive with only one pedal. To stop, take your foot off the gas. As with most EV functions, this one can be set up to work like the accelerator. While the battery is being charged, the motors slowly and steadily slow down the car. They can touch and use everything else, and it's all pure Rolls-Royce, which means it's great. Only the best materials are used, the seats are unbelievably soft, and most of the controls feel like they were made in the old days. It's a nice treat that most everyday functions can be changed with a physical button, switch, or knob in today's cars, especially electric vehicles. There are real chrome roller switches that let you change the temperature of the air blowing at your legs and torso independently. Like other Rolls-Royces, there are oil-filled buttons above the switches that are marked OFF, SOFT, MED, and high. However, there is a huge 102 kilowatt-hours lithium-ion battery on the floor that sets the temperature automatically. To change the flow of air through the beautiful metal vents in the cabin, you still have to use chrome organ poles and aim them yourself. You can also set the sound system with real buttons on the dashboard. Because this car doesn't have BMW's new iDrive OS and rows of tiny app buttons, Owners don't have to use the more complicated on-screen interface. When you press the seat massager button, a screen with more choices appears, which is helpful. Also, the shortcuts to the phone, media, and navigation settings that are in the center console around the control knob are the same. If you didn't tell them, no one would ask or even notice that the Spectre is electric. The home feels so cozy and familiar. It's nice to see that the Spectre doesn't make a big deal out of its fancy new engine, and this is something that Rolls always does. People will notice the name no matter where you drive it. People notice not that its first electric car, EV is electric, but how well designed and pricey it is. Also, in a normal Rolls-Royce, you don't really hear the engine, do you? That must mean it's the best Rolls-Royce ever, right? There's not much bad to say about the Spectre, but there is one catch. It's not that these cars are that expensive. That is clearly true. We need to talk about range anxiety now. It's not just for school, either. People who buy Rolls-Royce cars drive them, even though the company says their garages usually have 7 different cars. It makes sense. The Ferrari is too flashy and low to go to Whole Foods, and no one wants to drive long distances in a stiff, snorting Lamborghini. A Rolls is perfect for a fancy ride around town. But people who buy Rolls-Royces don't just drive them a lot, they'd also take long trips in them. The EPA says that the Spectre can go anywhere from 264 to 291 miles on a single charge. It depends on which wheels are picked. People who live in Los Angeles might take a weekend trip up the coast of California to go to wine country. Along the way, they might stop at a few gas stations where they won't have to wait long. If a Spectre driver is out on the road, they will spend a lot more time at public charging sites next to dirty people. We have to move the Spectre when we try to plug it into an Electrify America charger at the far end of a Walmart parking lot. Either that charger doesn't work, or worse, a Chevy Bolt driver is using the faster, higher co-unit when their hatchback can only handle 50 kilowatts. People will notice your shiny 18-foot-long land yacht and ask about it. You can either hide one of the Spectre's 5-foot-long, rear hinge doors, or wait the 34 minutes that Rolls-Royce says it takes to charge the car from 10% to 80% at its 195 kilowatts DC fast charge rate. At least those doors can be shut with a button press, or the driver stepping on the brakes. They'd also have button-activated umbrellas that can be used with chargers that don't have lids. It is fair to bring this up when the Spectre is a great example of style, technology, and luxury. While charging in public, it seems like you'd have to land your Gulfstream at a regular airport to plug your iPhone into a USB port in the Spirit Airlines gate waiting area, right? It applies to all expensive electric vehicles, but it's especially important here because the Spectre is so fantastical that money doesn't matter and all your wishes come true. When money is tight, Lucid's Air vehicle is a good choice. It costs less than half as much and goes almost twice as far. The Spectre is an electric Rolls-Royce. That doesn't make it a better EV. Thanks for watching this video.